Today, we're diving into Anton Chekhov's final and maybe most famous play, The Cherry Orchard. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty simple. It's about a family, a beautiful old estate, and the fact that they're about to lose it all. But trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath, it's a huge story about a world on the brink of massive change, a story about an entire way of life just disappearing.
Imagine this. Late in the play, this weird, mysterious sound echoes across the stage. Nobody really knows what it is. Is it a bucket falling down a mine shaft? A strange bird? But the old servant, Furs, he knows. He heard that exact same sound years ago, right before what he calls the Great Misfortune, which was the freeing of the serfs. You see, this sound, it's the sound of something breaking. It's the melancholy theme song for an entire world that's about to end. And to really get it, we've got to break this play down piece by piece.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll set the scene and look at the huge changes happening in Russia. Then, we'll meet the family at the center of it all, a family completely stuck in denial. After that, we'll see how they deal with an unstoppable future. We'll get to the big moment when the orchard is finally sold, and then we'll unpack what those trees really, truly represent.
Okay, first up, Russia in transition. To really understand why this family is in such a bind, you have to zoom out. This isn't just their personal drama. No, this is the story of an entire country having a massive identity crisis. The old way of doing things was crumbling, something new and uncertain was rising up, and this family was caught right in the crossfire.
See that date there? 1861? That single year is the absolute key to this entire play. For hundreds of years, the whole Russian economy was built on serfdom. Peasants were basically owned by the landowners. But in 1861, they were freed. And overnight, the system that propped up families like the Ronevskys just collapsed. It's like someone pulled the rug out from under the entire aristocracy. And this play is set right in the chaotic, uncertain aftermath.
So this created a huge clash between two groups. On one side, you have the aristocracy, people like our main family, the Ronevskys. They have the fancy name, the culture, the beautiful estate, but they are completely clueless in this new world where you actually have to, earn and manage money. And on the other side, you've got the descendants of those freed serfs, people like the character Lopukhin. His family used to work this land as peasants, and now he's a rich businessman, ready to build a new world on the ruins of the old one.
All right, part 2, A Family in Denial. Now let's meet the people at the very heart of this collision. And what's so brilliant about Chekhov is that these aren't just characters. They are living, breathing symbols of the past, the present, and the future, all arguing with each other in the same room.
This chart pretty much says it all. You've got two completely opposite ways of looking at the world. The Ronevskys are totally trapped in the past. They're all about nostalgia and feelings. They look at the cherry orchard and see their beautiful, lost childhood. Lopukhin, on the other hand, is all business. He looks at that exact same orchard and sees a business opportunity. He sees land to be developed. This massive difference is what fuels the entire conflict.
So who are these people really? Well, there's Madame Ronevsky, the owner. She just got back from Paris where she basically threw away the last of her fortune on a bad romance. She cries when she sees her old bedroom, but she just can't face the numbers in her bank account. Her brother, Gaev, is even more useless. He escapes reality by playing imaginary billiards and giving passionate speeches to his bookcase. Seriously. Then you have Lopukhin, the practical guy who's trying to save them from themselves. And finally, there's Furs, the 87-year-old servant. He's literally a walking, talking piece of history, a relic from before the serfs were freed.
Okay, on to part 3, the unstoppable future. And this is where things get really intense. Because the problem isn't some vague feeling of sadness. Nope, it's a very real, very specific deadline. The family is flat broke, and the clock is ticking.
August 22nd. Remember that date. It hangs over every single scene of this play like a giant axe. It's the deadline. If they can't figure out a way to pay the mortgage interest by that day, the whole place goes up for auction. They lose everything. Not just the trees, but their home, their memories, their entire identity.
And Lopukhin, the only one thinking clearly, gives them a plan. It's logical, it's practical. He basically says, look, we chop down the old cherry orchard. I know, it's pretty, but it makes zero money. We divide up the land into plots. We lease them to city folk for summer cottages. Boom, you're saved. It might sound harsh, but he's throwing them their only lifeline. So how does the family respond to this perfectly logical money-making plan? Gaev just scoffs and calls it utterly absurd. Madame Ronevsky says Lopukhin just doesn't understand.
For them, this isn't a business decision. The idea of destroying something so beautiful, even if it saves them, is just unthinkable. They are so tied to the past that destroying the orchard feels like they'd be destroying themselves.
And because the family does absolutely nothing, the inevitable happens. August 22nd arrives, and, in a perfect symbol of their denial, what are they doing on the day their home is being auctioned off? They're throwing a party. You can't make this up. This is the climax. This is the moment the future finally kicks the door in.
So this is the big question hanging in the air. The musicians are playing at the party, but you can just feel the tension. Everyone's waiting. They're hoping for some kind of miracle. Maybe a rich aunt will send money, maybe Gaev will magically fix it. They're clinging to any tiny shred of hope. And then, Lopakin walks in, back from the auction.
And he just says it. I bought it. It's one of the most stunning moments in all of theater. The son of a serf, whose father and grandfather weren't even allowed in the main house, now owns the whole estate. He's both ecstatic and devastated at the same time. This isn't just a business deal. It's the entire social pyramid being flipped upside down right there on stage.
And then the transfer of power happens in this one silent, powerful action. Varya, the daughter who's been trying to manage everything, takes the big ring of house keys from her belt, the very symbol of her authority, and just throws them on the floor. No words necessary. It's over. The Ranevsky era has ended.
So this brings us to our last big question. Why all this drama over a bunch of trees? Well, because in this play, the cherry orchard is never, ever just a cherry orchard. It's this massive, powerful symbol, and the genius of it is that it means something totally different to every single character.
To Ranevsky and Gaev, it's their lost childhood. It's a symbol of a graceful past where beauty didn't need a practical reason to exist. But to the young student Trofimov, it's a dark monument. He looks at the trees and sees the ghosts of the serfs who were forced to work this land. And for Lopakin, it's the ultimate symbol of his success. It's proof that the world he was born into is gone for good.
The play ends with one last, absolutely devastating image. The family all leaves. The doors are locked. And in the distance, you hear the sound of an axe hitting a tree. But Chekhov gives us one final twist. They've forgotten furs. The old servant is accidentally locked inside the abandoned house to die. His last line is just so tragic because he is the old world, loyal, forgotten, and left behind by a future that has absolutely no room for him.
You know, it's funny. Chekhov himself insisted this play was a comedy. And you can see why. The characters are often completely ridiculous. Their inability to do anything is almost farcical. But it feels so deeply tragic. So which is it? Is it a tragedy about losing a beautiful past? Is it a comedy about a useless class of people getting what's coming to them? Or maybe it's something else entirely, a clear-eyed look at the painful, messy, but totally unstoppable march of time. And that, in the end, is for you to decide.